episode of the First Responder Playbook. It's my pleasure to have Jax O'Hare. She's a lifestyle coach, speaker, reinvention expert who's helping ambitious women and tonight, first responders break out of burnout, stop self sabotaging, and finally build a life that actually fits. Jax, thanks for joining me. I can already tell we have such a great personality connection that I'm excited to
Yeah.
have you.
Yeah. Thanks
And
for
tell my
having
audience,
me.
yeah, tell my audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was in the restaurant industry for over 20 years. I started when I was really young, like 14, and I really loved it. I loved being around people. I loved the hustle. I loved the camaraderie that restaurants had. And the last 20 years I've been in Philly. After I graduated college, I went to Penn State. And yeah, I think the restaurant industry um, was great for a long time, but it definitely wore me down. And I recently, 2 years ago, left and became a lifestyle coach.
How did you decide you were making that switch? Um, how did you go from the hospitality restaurant industry to being like, hey, I'm a lifestyle coach? Because that's a mindset change for sure. Um,
Um, yeah, I didn't know I was going to do that. When I was in the industry, I wanted to leave for a while, but my identity was very much tied to my job. Like I didn't know who I was going to be without running restaurants. And so I stayed for a long time, even though I probably should have left sooner. Um, but when I left, I had become like the mama bear of being in the restaurant, like helping it started becoming a lot of young kids that I was, teaching how to bartend, and they became like my children, and I really liked helping them. And when I left the industry, I had no idea what I was going to do. Um, but I was on a very long, like, healing journey. It took like 8 years for me to figure out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be. And 6 of those years, I was still in the restaurant industry. So when I finally got out, I felt like I was trapped in it. So when I finally got out, I was like, damn, that feeling sucks, and I don't ever want anyone else to feel this way. How can I help other people? And so I kind of reinvented myself with that in my head. I really liked helping all these young kids that I hired at the restaurants, and I felt so trapped for a really long time, and I didn't want anyone else to feel that way.
that's awesome. How did you start kind of networking and getting that out there that hey, I'm going to start helping women reinvent themselves?
Uh,
How'd you get that off the ground? Because that's uh that's such an empowering market, but it's where do I start at? So how did you get that off the ground and get going?
um, I'm still kind of doing that. It took me a long time because I'm basically an online business. I help women. We meet on Zoom, and if I'm lucky enough, I can meet them in person. But um, you have to be able to market yourself on social media, and that was a really hard thing to do for me. So it took me a while to really put myself out there. Um, I had to learn. I didn't even know what like a reel was, and we had a marketing team for all my restaurants. So I didn't have any of those. I didn't have that skill set. So I had to learn all that. And that was really challenging. So yeah, just going on podcasts, trying to make friends online. I'm a more in-person person. So it was definitely, um, it was a change up. Like I'm a millennial. Like I didn't grow up with a cell phone in my hand. So
Yeah.
Um, and I remember like when text messaging came out when I was in college, I like refused. to allow people to text me. I was like, you can call me if you need to talk to me. So, so yeah, social media is definitely something that I'm getting used to for sure.
That's awesome. So I want to talk about like burnout. That's something, especially I think COVID really amplified in the first responder community because everybody was social distancing and staying away from each other. But then we would come to work and see, all the messed up stuff that we deal with on a daily basis. And then they're like, all right, don't want you to talk about it. Stay 8 feet away from each other. Stay in your cars. Don't come in and socialize. And it led to a lot of first responders leaving the business. I left the business during COVID. Terrible time to take an insurance gig fully commission when you're used to having a steady paycheck. Don't recommend it, folks. Um, but it's just one of those things that like I look back on it and I wish I would have had somebody to like help me with that burnout because like I didn't hate the place like I worked at. I enjoyed like the job, I enjoyed the people, but there was just something that I wasn't fulfilled. And I was like, I take the first job that offers me a job that, I can pay my bills. And
Yeah,
I wish I'd had somebody be like, hey, let's pump the brakes. Like, slow down.
yeah. I saw the same thing happen in the restaurant industry. A lot of people left. I think it was a different, I mean, I can't even imagine being a first responder during the pandemic. That must have been some of the most challenging times that, I mean, there was just so much going on. I can understand why you would feel burnt out. And everyone was kind of going through like an identity crisis because you have all this time to think about like, who am I? What am I doing with my life? Like, is this the life that I want to lead? And it's very easy to get burnt out when you finally take a minute and step back and look at it. Before the pandemic, we're constantly going. We're like living on autopilot because we love our jobs, we're hustling, we identify with our title, like with helping people. And then you forget about your own needs as a person. And you're kind of like running through the motions every day, not realizing that you're doing that. And then the pandemic hits and you have time to reflect, which you probably didn't do before. Yeah. And
I didn't. I have a funny story about that. Is that we had a full department meeting, which we weren't a big agency, maybe 15 guys, 14, 15 guys. But we were bordered right up Tulsa, which is a good sized city. And we had a mandatory officers meeting. They made us take an officers photo. And literally from like one half down, we all found out on Halloween that we got COVID. Because there was somebody
oh
sitting in
my
the meeting. And so the people who didn't get it, I mean, they had a rough, 2 weeks because that was when you're quarantined for 2 weeks because they were there pretty much 24/7. Like,
oh
hey,
God.
so they got overworked, but then the rest of us, we're freaking out because we've got COVID. That's when everybody's dying. You can't like see anybody. You're stuck in there by yourself, and like by about a weekend, you're just like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like
Hmm.
I thankfully I didn't have it bad. Like, but it just it starts affecting your mental health and like you're like, okay, is it gonna get worse? Like we're a weekend, is it gonna get worse now? Like, am I done? Like, can I go see people? And it brought a lot of undue stress both ways on our whole agency. The ones who didn't get it and had to overwork, and then the ones who had it who got sick. And so I agree with you. Like it brought so much on all of us, not just first responders, but I laugh at it now because I mean, it's 5 years later, but it's still like I can laugh at it now. And like, dude, you were sitting there hacking behind us, and you got half the department sick at once. Like,
Like, that is
so
just from one picture.
yeah, yeah. Like literally, you can see where he's at, and I'm standing in front of him, and from half down that whole side got COVID, and
Oh
the
my
other half did
God.
not.
Oh wow. That is insane. Yeah, it definitely got us all thinking. But you went back.
Yeah, but I
How long were you
I
gone for?
I was off for 2 weeks, and like I said, I
No, I
didn't.
mean like when you did the insurance.
Oh, what's funny is I left probably 9 months after that, and I think that's kind of where it started because everybody we were just so short staffed already, and like I pretty much lived at the police department for 5 years. Like I was always the guy they called, "Hey, come into work, come into work, come into work." Yeah, I like overtime, sure. And I was so burnt out, and with you seeing all the stuff in the news, I was like, I'm gonna take the first job, and I lasted about 9 months in insurance. Um, I enjoyed it, but they stuck me in a part of town where they more people didn't have insurance than did, and then they wanted you to sell life insurance on top of it, and then the pandemic on top of it, and it went terrible. And
Yeah.
I laugh at it now, but I was so burnt out, and I didn't know it. That's the thing is I didn't know it until it was like a dam bursting, and I was like, I'm out of here. Like it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if it's a cop job, doesn't matter if it's insurance. Like I'm out of here. And looking back on it, like I wish I'd have had somebody say, "Let's pump the brakes. Let's talk about this. Where do you want to end up? Like where? How can we help you get there?" And that was never talked about.
Do
And
you think
I
that
think
you would have listened?
I
Like if
do.
someone said that to you, do you think you would have like sat and thought about it and listened?
100%. I do. Um, I am a very good self analyzer, and
Yeah.
so I think that I would have listened. And I think that depending on a person's personality, it's how you approach it. So, like for me, I want somebody to come tell me, "Hey, dummy, don't be stupid." Doesn't work for
Mm-hmm.
everybody. Um, but it's just one of those things. Like, because now I say I failed, and I own it. I talk about it on my podcast all the time. Like I failed, didn't go well, went through a bankruptcy, terrible. But like I got my master's degree that I would never went out of my comfort zone to do. I've got 9 months left on my doctorate, and
Oh
like,
my gosh, congrats.
yeah, and like I started getting into coaching, and like I would have never came out of my comfort zone if I wouldn't have failed, because I'm a very determined person, and once I failed, I was like, I'm not going to be a failure, and so I jumped back into it, and I think that a lot of guys when they get to that burnout stage, if they would just have somebody to talk to them and say, "Man, where do you want to end up? If you're a new paramedic and you're working on an ambulance, where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be a year from now? How can we help you get there?" Um,
I
because
don't think
in the first,
I don't think that happens a lot.
it it doesn't. It never does. That's a problem, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a culture mindset that we have to change because for the longest time, I think in the first responder world, it was you're replaceable, and so like
Mm-hmm.
you leave, and I'm sure it's the same way in the restaurant business.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
I'm
we'll have
resonating
your
with
job,
everything you're saying.
yeah, we'll have your job posted in the morning, and somebody
Mm-hmm.
will fill it. The problem with that is if you're working at a Chili's and you're the bartender that's been working there for 10 years and you know your customers and know how they just like their drink, what they order, you take care of them. Somebody new comes in and they don't know how to make drinks and it's a busy night, like that's going to start piling up. Your customer service gets affected. Then you start getting negative reviews. It's the same thing in every business. We have
Mm-hmm.
got to start caring about the employees more than the machine itself, in my opinion. Could be wrong.
Oh, I totally agree with you. In the restaurant industry, it's cutthroat too. They just all they care about is the bottom line. Um, and you're replaceable. And they, yeah, I mean, my boss wanted she was the owner. She wanted me to work. She expected me as the general manager to work 6 days a week. Um, and I just, there's no healthy boundaries when someone has those expectations. And yeah, no matter what you do, and you want to do a good job. I mean, there was times where I would go home, get in bed, get a phone call, get back out of bed, get dressed, and go back to work because it got busy. There was a, Eagles game, or the Phillies went to the World Series or whatever the hell, and I'd have to get out of bed and go back. Like, I was a very dedicated employee, but yeah, they don't, it's all about the bottom line, and they don't, like, I it's funny because that's not what it is for, first responders. So, but I think it's like this personality that comes with these types of high pressure jobs, that um, the mission comes first. Like, you are the last thought because the mission comes first. And when you're a cop or a first responder, like, that can make sense. Like, of course, that makes sense, but your your livelihood and you being cared for and healthy, like, you show up as a better employee when that is happening. When you're working so many hours and not getting any breaks, or they don't even, I'm sure that there's no this overtime. I'm sure, like, there's no, they just let you take as much overtime as you want.
Yeah, there's no limit. I mean, in
Right.
theory, in theory, I think they're supposed to be, but no, they're just like, hey, if you want to stay, stay.
Yeah. And so if you're an ambitious person, you're going to stay. I mean, that's how I was. I wanted to climb the corporate restaurant ladder. And so that type of job, though, when you're an ambitious person, it's very easy to get burnt out because of that situation. You want to help people, you want to climb the ladder, whatever it is. Um, yeah, and you let it take over you.
So how did you start fighting that? The self-sabotage, the burnout. How did you start combating that? Like, how do you, when you're coaching somebody, how do you combat that with them?
Well, I think it takes a lot of self-awareness. And when you're in the burnout, your body is like in survival mode. And your body, like, literally thinks that you're running from a tiger. It doesn't know the difference between like real threat and something that's like an imaginary threat, because it's already, your nervous system is already in survival mode. So when you're in that, all of your like cognitive functions go away. Your memory goes away, your focus, um, you're fatigued, your brain is foggy, and you can't even think. So you don't even know that you're in it when you're in it. So awareness is like the biggest thing. And I think, like, some people, like, I think at first I started to become aware, but I still liked the hustle. So it was hard for me. I knew, so like, now, okay, I'm aware, but I didn't want to stop. So then you have to really think about, okay, how do you feel like in your body, and try to connect back with yourself, because you're so disconnected when you're in it. And so once I started, like, really connecting with myself, I realized, like, I'm not happy. Like, things that used to make me happy aren't making me happy anymore. And I wanted to, just curl up with my dog and kind of like stop socializing, and just, I was doing things that were the opposite of what I would normally do. And yeah, I started to feel like really unfulfilled. And then when that happened, I realized that I couldn't keep doing it. And I think like the biggest difference though is you have to feel that your situation, if you stay in it, is worse than if you leave and go do something else that you don't know. You're like stepping into the unknown or the uncomfortable. So like my situation, I had been building this up for 20 years and I didn't want to let go until I realized like I'm not happy anymore. I'm unfulfilled. I'm not My personality was completely drained of me. I just wasn't the same person that I was. And so staying would have I knew staying was the worst out of the two options. So I left and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't have any I didn't have a boyfriend or a husband. I had a mortgage I was paying on my own. I had to figure it out and I didn't have any backup. But you get scrappy and you figure it out and I'm, I'm in such a better position now than I was in the restaurant industry. And then when you work these jobs that are very demanding and you're working all these crazy hours, like opposite of everybody else, it's so unhealthy for like your mental health, your diet. It's so difficult to stay, like have nutritious meals and get regular sleep. And those things are so basic, but those things are so important for for you to function.
I laugh at that because my brother didn't get into law enforcement until he was 40. Um,
Wow.
and he's always been the workout warrior in the family. He got all the athletic genes. They skipped me. And so like my brother's like 6'3", like Mr. CrossFit, and he goes through the academy and he ends up working overnights. And it took him about 6 months. And then he realized, because he used to give me such a hard time, he's like, well, I don't understand, like, why you're sleeping your day away today, or I don't understand like why you never want to do anything. And it's because I worked 12 hours overnight and my first day spent sleeping. And because I always tried to flip my schedule on my first day, and so then I'd have 2 more days of like normal hours, and that's not healthy. It's really not.
Mm.
And now he understands it, and so I give him a hard time all the time because he's like, I go take a nap for work. I'm like, oh, so now you understand about it. And but we all do it, and it's not healthy. And now he has young kids. Like I don't know how he does it. And thankfully he works better hours now. But it's just like I don't know how, like, for 12 years, 10, 12 years, whatever it was that I worked overnights, like I worked with so many people that have families. Like I don't know how they did
I,
it.
I cannot imagine.
Because I
That
mean,
has to be so hard.
yeah, because like I had enough trouble sleeping. It's just me and my dog, like during the daytime. Because you get home at 7 a.m. and the sun's up and the birds are chirping and everybody's out moving around mowing their lawn, and you're trying to go to bed. You have to get blackout curtains, and then somebody beats on your door because a package is delivered. Like
Hmm.
it's so bad on your mental and physical health that like there's really not a good answer to it other than being very self-disciplined to like eat healthy and like work out all the time. But it's just not realistic for a lot of guys, unfortunately.
I mean,
And
it's unrealistic for any human. Like it science shows that like people who work these off hour shifts are not as healthy as people who have regular hours.
yeah, and I've got to the point now to where like everybody's like, well, just take your if I have to work extra in the week, just take your overtime. I don't want it. I want to burn my time. Like I want to have my time away from work. Now, granted, I did come home today from work and doing a podcast. So I'm still working. So sometimes I don't listen to myself, but I enjoy my
But it's different
podcast.
kind of, yeah, it's different kind of work.
Yeah. But it's one of those things that like I really do. I've got to make time for myself to fight the burnout now. and just whatever it may be. Like if it's just playing Xbox with my friends, reading a book, and like I said, I'm working with a doctor. Even if I gotta like take time away from school because that's such a commitment too, that like I make sure that like on Saturdays, like I watch some football so I don't go crazy. Like
Do you feel like you ever have a hard time, like you feel guilty for doing that?
yeah, I do for sure, 100%. But I know me that if I don't, that it'll not end up pretty. Like I have to take that time away because like I get crabby if I don't.
But that's good
And
that you're aware.
yeah. And so like I just tell people like, and I'm in a class right now that I hate, uh, and then like it's literally a grind just to get through it because it's nothing that interests me, but it's part of my major. And so like right now, I just as long as I get the passing grade I need, like I'm cool with that. Like because if I put like 100% effort into it, like I'd probably go crazy because it's not my wheelhouse of man that's so interesting, let's do it. And it's just like got to take my free time. So I sympathize with you because I agree. Like it's just the shift workers out there, um, they have such a hard time. And I'm glad I'm on normal hours now. So I want to talk about your work with women. Like there are so many badass first responders out there that are women. How are you helping women out there? And like if they want to reach out to you, because let's be honest, that's your niche. Like, I'm not gonna try to steal your clients. Like, if there's a badass woman out there that needs help, I'm gonna push you to you. How can they, reach out to you and like, what do you offer to help them? Because like they get burnout, they have the identity crisis, especially being in a male-dominated field. Like,
Yes,
um,
totally.
like
And
and
women,
they.
I think, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and like all those same stressors that men deal with, they deal with them too. And so, yeah, I want to get the message out of like how we can start helping the badass women in the career field.
Yeah, I think, especially for women, there's this like societal pressure to do it all. Be the super mom, be really great at your job, put food on the table. And I think sometimes like I asked you, do you get guilty when you take time off? I have a really hard time, but I think there is that like societal pressure. And on, like I have a program that I offer, but I have free workshops every month, and I have, you know, I have like a short video that teaches women how to regulate in small ways, like things that take less than 2 minutes, so that, especially for first responders who are like always on the go, um, just connecting with your body and your mind in between calls or shifts. But really it's little things that connect you back to yourself. So obviously like breathing and mindfulness practices are great. For me, i I like love having a certain routine when I get up, no matter what time it is, but walking in the morning and being in sunlight and fresh air, just being in nature, journaling, or even stretching, like anything that's going to kind of connect you back to yourself is really helpful. So, because everyone's going to be stressed, especially first responders, it and stress and burnout, stress is temporary and everyone's going to be stressed at some point. Burnout is the long-term effects of stress if you let it get to that point. And so we're all going to be stressed, but I think the important thing is to learn how to regulate your nervous system so your nervous system knows that your body is safe. Because once you get to the point of burnout and your nervous system is in fight or flight, it's really much more difficult to get out of it because you have to learn how to slow down and rewire your brain because your brain rewires itself once it's in survival mode for too long. And so adopting these small, like I have alarms set on my phone. Every hour it goes off and I do a breathing thing that lasts 1 minute and then I go back to work. But these are things that just like keep you um, connected to yourself. And they're huge. I mean, even like not having a phone when you're eating or not looking at your phone or a screen when the first hour that you wake up. Even these little things like make such a huge difference because burnout it's so easy to go there and then just stay on autopilot and not even know you're in it.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So,
Yeah.
if somebody wants to reach out to you, how do they reach out to you?
I hang out on Instagram. I'm there. You could contact me there. I also have a website. It's www.highvibescollective.co. And then on Instagram, live a wildly free life is my Instagram handle.
I love it. So, as I start to wrap up, I've been doing this new thing that I wrap up my podcast with. Um, Tell me, if today was your last day on the earth, what is your one either positive message that can make this world a better place, or something that can make this world like a better place? Like, what would be Jax's message to the world to make it a better place?
My message is that I think society, we are so wrapped up in ourselves and this fast pace, the internet is, and what it's doing is making us live at these like crazy speeds and we're not aware of other people. And my message would be you don't know the person next to you in the grocery line, you don't know what's happening with them. And just having compassion and being more aware of how people are feeling. I think that we've kind of lost that. And, people are, even if their, like political views are different or, whatever, you come from different backgrounds. I think that everyone should be like more compassionate towards each other. We all have our issues and our trauma and our stories. Everybody does. And then I hope that everyone can just have more compassion for each other.
I love it. Jax,
Yeah.
you're always welcome back. You let me know when you're ready to
Thank
come back,
you.
and you're always welcome. And have a good
Thank
night,
you.
okay?
Yeah, you too. It was so great to talk to you.
Absolutely.